Hello, welcome to the Motoring Middle East review. Today I'm checking out the all-new Peugeot 508. It's the latest in a long lineage of cool Peugeots. Remember the 504 from the 1960s and 70s, which was of course a legend in Africa. They made millions of them, and a lot of them are still running around Africa. But this one is all new for this region. And to it, what have we got? Well, we've got a super sexy body. We've got a lot of technology and safety. Now, Peugeot isn't pitching this car at the Camry and the Accord and the Altima and the Maxima or whatever. It's kind of going with a premium feel at a slightly budget price. So you're getting a much more expensive German car in terms of interior and experience, but at a price point that you're going to be quite pleasantly surprised. Speaking of price points, this is a 1.6 turbo engine. It has 165 horsepower, about 248, hopefully I got that right, foot-pounds of Newton meters of torque at just 1,400 RPM. It's got a 6-speed auto, and in case you're wondering, that's a little bit lower than the version that Europe gets, which is 180 horsepower, and that's because that's the newer engine. But for the moment, this is what we're getting. Prices start at about 95,000 dirhams, that's VAT included, and goes up to 130,000 dirhams for this full GT line. There are 3 trim levels. The base one runs on 17-inch wheels. These ones get these quite natty 18-inch alloys. I'm quite a fan of them. Of course, they are running Michelin tires. So it is a very, very sweet looking car. I really like some of the visual styling Peugeot's done here. Actually, let me draw your attention to it. First off, you have the lion badge, big and proud. But what you also have is the 508 badge. Now, if you've seen a 504 from the 1960s, they had this badge right on the nose. So it's a nice little touch. Also here, these are all LED headlights, which of course come on the top of the line, GT line. They also have this vertical saber. The idea is to kind of remind you of a lion's fangs. I don't remember a lion having fangs, but hey ho, it is quite a good looking car, especially from the front. If you come around to the side, it's got a very broad shoulder, it's very long, low and wide. So it's like a sporty car. It makes you feel like it's a rear wheel drive car, but actually it's a front wheel drive car. So you've got this scoop here, which apparently took ages to figure out. Reminds you a bit of the Ferrari 308, doesn't it? I love the way it's scalloped out. And a very, very fast backy back. So this way, fastbacky back. Basically, it's a fastback. So it's more of a liftback. Remember the Corona liftback? Well, that's what this is as well. It also has a panoramic sunroof as standard on top of the range cars. It's pretty much drowning in kit. I don't know if you can see it here, but this shoulder line actually is like a sort of a double indent here. It's like a double bubble. So they've scalloped out some room here. It is quite a low roof line. Now what that means is the headroom's going to suffer, but let's not think about that now. And if you look at the back, I think it's quite a stunning looking car in the segment. It's quite low, sleek. It's got this full-length black reflector strip across the middle and these LED taillights that remind you of the Peugeot E-Legend concept. And of course, dual tailpipes and a diffuser. Let's see what the boot's like. Now, where's the boot release? There we go, here. Oh, I think I've broken it, but it's actually electric, but I've just pushed it up. Tons of space in here, absolutely tons of space. However, the sloping roofline does cut into it, so there's a long boot floor. Not sure what this is, but let's not worry about it. And you've got a full-size spare underneath and a subwoofer system for the focal audio. So that is the exterior. Let's see, you can actually drop it down. Yep, electric tailgate. Let's see what it's like in the back. So I love the styling of the GT line. Look at this interior, look at this leather trim. It feels like something that you get in a Porsche. It's quite nice, this sort of diamond quilted approach. I'm not sure what to call it, but it's very techy and very cool. Space is fine. Legroom wise, that's me sitting behind myself. Headroom, not so much. I'm okay at about 5'11". If you were 6 foot and over, this would be a bit of a struggle. So it isn't the greatest on headroom, but style pays a price. You've got a drop down headrest here where you can have 2 cup holders. You've got rear AC vents, very important. Did you know the AC on this car was something Peugeot worked on for a year? And actually it's about 44 degrees outside, so I am melting. And actually the AC is pretty good. I've had 0 complaints. It's very, very strong. You've also got 2 USBs down here and no infotainment, but you've got a nice pocket here to keep things. So quite a decent interior, but the front is where the action happens, isn't it? So quite a funky interior. By the way, have you noticed the lack of frame around the doors? So these are actually frameless windows like you used to get in your Nissans of the 80s. Very, very stylish and allows you to save a bit of weight. So it's a very, very funky interior. I don't know how quite to describe it. It's like something from the future. If you've driven other Peugeots recently, you'll be a little familiar with it, but to familiarize you, you've got these two screens down here. This one is your main driver information pod. So if you can just come over and hopefully you can see it. And if you've got this one, this is where everything else happens. So minimum of control, this is all touch, and you've got these piano key finishes here. So this one's music, this one's AC, and it's all touchscreen, of course, blah, blah, blah. Navigation, Apple CarPlay, of course, and etc. This is the car one, the main settings. Telephone, apps. It's pretty simple, it's pretty fast. I like how quick it is. It's not the very fastest one in the world, but it's decent. I have no issue with the way it moves. Engine start stop down here, there's drive modes, and this rather unusual gear selector, which is hard to describe. It feels like a handbrake, but it's actually pretty easy to use. So that's drive, that's reverse, and this is park. And you've got a manual mode, although it seems like Peugeot doesn't really want you to use the manual mode. Hopefully I've put it in park, right. Electronic handbrake, and a big deep boot down here with an aux jack. So the steering wheel is actually quite an interesting thing. You've got this two-spoke wheel here, minimum of options. You've got the volume and media, and that's it. I quite like that. It's minimum, minimum, minimum. You've got, of course, the paddles for the gear shifts and the usual Peugeot stocks here, including a cruise control stock, which is always quite cool. But the big problem is kind of the dashboard. I can't really see it because this seems to bisect my view of it. So you have many, many options. Hopefully you can see this. Is for the navigation, driving. You can set this thing up just like you would a Mercedes. So it's very, very funky. Lots of animations. I really like it, but I can't always see it. Driving position is a little weird as well because of the way how high the dash is. I want to sit low, but I need to see over the instrument cluster. It takes a little while to get used to for other people. And the main system sounds pretty good. It's got 4K sound. It's got memory seats. It's pretty packed with kit. So the only thing left to see really from this first drive, this brief first drive, is how does it drive? Let's find out. All right, so we're taking off from a hotel, which I'm not entirely sure what it is. Let's see what it's like. So first thing you notice straight away is the steering has got a very nice feel to it. It's very smooth. It's nicely weighted. It's not too heavy, but it has that European crispness on the straight ahead. It just moves easily off center. Throttle response is pretty decent actually. It's in normal. Let's see what it's like. Let's go this way. My cameraman sliding around the back. Nice snarl from the 1.6 turbo. Performance is fine. It's 165 horsepower, so it's not going to set your pants on fire, but it compares well with the rest of the competition. It feels very smooth. That's what I like about it. It feels very, very smooth. It feels very, very stiff, the chassis. Brakes are a little touchy. The handling, it's a bit hard to tell you how the handling is in this short drive, but it's perfectly adequate. Audi is exceptional. White is, however, feels like an expensive place to be. For a Peugeot, it doesn't quite feel like an economy car, because normally Peugeots are associated with like good deals and style on a budget. But this really does finally hit that style on the budget thing. I mean, it feels like a car where I'm getting a premium European experience at a price that would not be mistaken for a Japanese car. The thing about Peugeots is they feel like nothing else. You drive a German car, you get very, very solid, very, very stiff feel. The Japanese cars are a little tinier, but you're getting good engineering and long reliability. Peugeots always felt a little fragile, but they handle great. This one is kind of weird. It handles slightly more Germanically, but it also rides a bit more Germanically. So the ride is actually a little stiffer than I would like. It's not that typical French, fluid, low-P feel. It just kind of is a little bit too stiff sometimes. But I like the technology. And for a 1.6, of course, it gets incredible fuel economy, and it feels expensive. The engine's a little vocal when you really kick down, but for the most part, let me put it in drive and see how it is. Sport. Yeah, it's fine. The big question is, should you buy it? I think if you are the sort of person who likes a car that's a little bit different, a little bit off the pack, and that's the kind of customer Peugeot is asking for. They are not asking for the Camry car. I mean, they wouldn't mind, but this isn't that kind of customer. This is a car that's very much style focused, and it has substance underneath. I like it. I think it's a bit too little of a drive to tell, but I think I like the way that they've done the job here. I want slightly more puff from this turbo. I want to go up to at least 200 horsepower, because 10 years ago we were driving cars that had 200 horsepower. Yeah, apart from the power, which I think is could be a little bit more, but the AC is really good. The shocking part is the AC is so good for a car from France, the AC is incredible, where we literally come to the end of the road. Well, I think this is as good a place as any to stop this review. Hopefully we'll get the full car very shortly. That's it from me, Imthishan from Motoring Middle East. Make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe, all the rest. Until the next time, we'll actually get the 508 for a long test. See you soon.